So the Utah Jazz are a team that I actually find very interesting headed into this coming NBA season. They've made a lot of great moves to improve their roster, but I feel like the moves that the Lakers, Clippers, and Rockets made this offseason have kind of pushed the Jazz under the radar. When we look at the Jazz, we look at a team that's made the playoffs for 3 consecutive seasons now, and won 50 or more games in 2 of those 3 seasons. But in each of these past 3 years, they haven't been considered a serious threat to win a championship. And when you look at some of the holes that this team had, especially on offense, you can kinda understand why they weren't considered a contender. But honestly, I look at the moves that the Jazz made this offseason, which I'm about to get into, and I honestly believe that this team finally has the right pieces to potentially win an NBA championship. And that may sound silly, but bear with me, listen to what I gotta say, and let's just debate in the comments if you disagree with me. So the biggest move the Jazz made this offseason came at the point guard position, where they replaced Ricky Rubio with Mike Conley. And I know Ricky Rubio isn't complete crap, but the man shot 31% from 3 this past season, and for a starting point guard in the NBA, that's kinda unacceptable. He shot 40.4% from the field overall, which is pretty bad, but it's actually the second best field goal percentage of his entire career, so take that how you want to. I'm a fan of Ricky Rubio, and he's an awesome playmaker, but he can't create his own shot, he can't space the floor with his shooting, so that's no help to this team's offense at all. On the other hand, Mike Conley's coming off a season in which he averaged a career-high 21 points per game, shot 36% from 3, and averaged 6.4 assists, which is just 0.1 short of his career high. He's regarded as one of the best defensive point guards in the league, and while Rubio's no slouch on defense, but Mike Conley definitely has the upper hand here, while also having the upper hand on offense too. So the Jazz traded away an aging Kyle Korver, an inconsistent Jay Crowder, and a couple draft picks in return for a point guard, who very well could have been an all-star right now if the West didn't have so many superstars. I know that Crowder and Korver were both important rotation players for the Jazz this past year, but don't worry because the Jazz did a great job replacing them. Before we get to that though, the Jazz also replaced another gaping hole in their starting lineup named Derek Favors, who like Rubio, isn't a bad player at all, but was just a really weird fit on this team. First of all, he's a career 21% shooter from 3, so he doesn't stretch the floor, and that doesn't help when Rudy Gobert is completely incapable of stretching the floor himself. Just a few years ago, he was averaging over 16 points and 8 rebounds a game, but this year he only averaged 11.8 points and 7 rebounds, and there were some points this past year where he was completely unplayable. So Derek Favors leaving the Jazz for the Pelicans didn't really hurt the Jazz, as they replaced him with a guy who can space the floor and score, with bojan bogdanovic from the Pacers. He averaged a career-high 18 points per game this past year on a scalding 42.5% from 3. He's an offensive machine, and he's 6'8". So with many teams in the NBA playing small ball, he fits right into the Jazz's starting front court next to Ingles and Gobert. He may not be the best defender, but honestly if you have Rudy Gobert on your team, I feel like not being the best defender isn't the biggest deal, because having Gobert on your team covers up so many defensive mistakes. And again, now the Jazz have surrounded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert with shooters in Conley, Ingles, and bojan, who can each create shots for themselves and for others, and if we're being honest here, in regards to fit, this is easily one of the best starting lineups in the entire league. Now I won't talk as much about their other moves, but signing Jeff Green is huge for this team because he's one of those guys who can just play his role and kind of do everything. He averaged 12.3 points this past season, shooting 48% from the field and 35% from 3, and for a 6'9" forward who's also a great defender, you can't ask for much more than that on offense. He's a clear upgrade over Derek Favors and Jay Crowder, and it's scary that he's going to be coming off this team's bench. They also signed Ed Davis to be their backup center, who's one of the best rebounders in the entire NBA, a clear upgrade over Epke Udoh. I mean, for crying out loud, this dude averaged 8.6 rebounds per game this past year, in less than 18 minutes per game, off the Nets bench. That's pretty damn crazy. He also shot 61% from the field, so don't worry, he doesn't suck at offense. Last but not least, they picked up Emmanuel Mudiay from the Knicks, who averaged 15 points per game this past year, and for what it is, the Jazz really need that type of scoring off their bench. As much as I like him, that scoring from Mudiay is better than anything Dante Exum's done so far. The Jazz are also bringing back Royce O'Neal and Thabo Sefolosha, who were key bench players this past season. So yeah, the Jazz lost Jay Crowder, Kyle Korver, Ricky Rubio, and Derek Favors, but replaced them with Conley, Mudiay, Bogdanovic, Jeff Green, and Ed Davis. So this team definitely was a winner this past offseason. They will still have one of the top 3 defenses in the NBA this next year, and will probably have the best offense of any Jazz team this entire decade. They easily have the best roster of any Jazz team. Now before we end this video, I gotta talk about one more thing. You probably thought I forgot about Donovan Mitchell, but really, I've just been saving him for last. And if this team's gonna compete for a title, then he has to keep improving his offense, which is only getting better and better. For all we know, this might just be the year that he's finally selected to be an all-star. Having Mike Conley and Bogdanovic takes pressure off of Donovan and opens the door for him to get some of the easiest shots of his career so far, while also giving him more options on offense. So yeah, I guess I didn't really talk much about Rudy Gobert either, but at this point, Gobert's kinda Gobert. He'll finish around the rim and literally block everything. So yeah, if Donovan keeps leading this team's scoring punch, Conley hits his open shots and creates offense for others, Ingles continues being the greatest ever, Bojan hits his open shots, and Gobert plays more amazing defense and the bench doesn't suck, don't be surprised if the Jazz make it to at least the conference finals. If I had to bet on it right now, it'd be kinda hard because if we're being honest here, the Jazz could finish anywhere in the West between 1 and 6 or 7, but I almost guarantee that this is going to be one of those seasons where the playoff seeding isn't set in stone until the last few days of the season, so it's going to be really interesting, and the Jazz already play great defense, they've improved their offense so much, and they may not be considered as talented as the Lakers or the Clippers, but if you're going to win a championship, you got to play good defense, and that's something this team's going to do. They've improved their offense, and the league's completely wide open this year, man. With an injury to a player on the Lakers or Clippers, or even the Rockets or Trailblazers, don't be surprised if you see the Utah Jazz in the NBA Finals.